Hey, what is up, everybody? I am here to give you my weekly Walking Dead review that I do every single week. I do know that the newest one started Sunday, but I'm not caught up enough. Like, I'm way far beyond to be from season 5. So instead of just watching all the episodes, I'll just keep doing it weekly. And yeah. I'm going to catch up when I get there. That's pretty much my case. Even if you don't like it, tough shit. This one is Season 2, Episode 8. And it's called Nebraska. Which doesn't make a lot of sense because there is no... it doesn't really... It's not really called... They don't really reference Nebraska. Like, they only do it once in this episode. And this came out on February 12th, 2012. And let's kick it right off. Let me just wait for the thing to go full screen because I hit full screen and I can't see myself yet. Now I can only see part of myself. Okay. So it kicks right off. It follows right up, pretty much exactly where the last episode left off, when it had Rick pointing his gun after he had shot Sophia. And I thought that was good. I like how they just kicked off right off like that. I thought that was awesome. It just shows everyone being dead. And I think one of them, I think it was Beth, tries to go up to her mom. Because she thinks she's dead and is all upset that she's dead. But then mom's still alive. So they have to pull her off her. And then T-Dog starts stomping the mom, the stepmom. And then eventually Andrea, I'm just going to call her Andrea. I don't really feel like using my catchphrase this time. It's going to be Andrea, and if you don't like it, tough shit. If it's not Andrea, then that's what I'm going to call her. Grabs something. I didn't get a good look at what it was, and pretty much stabs and kills mom. And I thought that was a good way. And then afterwards, Shane gets pissed and thinks that Herschel knew that Sophia was in there. And just kept it from them, so I guess they didn't have to hear it. So they just went on this wild goose chase for nothing. And afterwards, too, Carol's all distraught, so she leaves, by the way, after that. And Herschel's like, no, I didn't do it. I didn't keep it from you. I didn't even know who Sophia was. And then he says that he wants Shane to leave the farm, considering what happened, which... I don't blame him. I probably would ask the same question. Well, I probably would have said the same thing. And then afterwards, Rick and Shane start arguing about how Rick just kept them looking for a girl that was already gone, that was already dead, and that I had to do something to protect the people. And Rick pretty much says that you just screwed us over. Now we have to leave. Which Rick isn't happy about, obviously, because Lori's going to be pregnant and they can't be out in the open world. And then it kicks right off to the theme song. And then afterwards, I forget what it kicked off afterwards. I think it kicked off with Carol in the RV. And Daryl goes to confront her. And then... Lori, and then it shows them we're gonna, and then I think it's kind of hard to remember. I know I just watched it, but it's hard to remember. I'm trying to think what else would have kicked it. What else what happened next? I think what happened next was fuck. Can't remember. Let me just pull up the old Wikipedia and maybe see Oh, she talked about how Otis put the walkers in. Maggie talked about how Otis put the walkers in there. Let me think. I think they decided to bury the all the people that they knew, and that they're gonna burn all the rest of them that they don't know. And I think they did Sophia first. And Glenn talks about how they have to, after all this is done, they're gonna move on, because they're gonna pretty much just leave. And Maggie's like, you can't leave. Well, Maggie, I don't think wants him to leave, though he wants him to stay. And he's like, and then they dig up the dead bodies, and Rick's upset too that they had everyone looking for a girl that was already dead. And he did everything he could do to. Lloyd says he did everything he could do to find her, but he said they had him looking for a girl that was already dead, and that Carl got shot. Carl even talked about how he wished that Sophia was just hiding out in the cave somewhere. He'd be the one to find her, and I think he wishes that he would be the one to shoot her. And then Shane goes to get the truck because they need the truck to move the bodies that they're going to burn. And he sees Dale, and he talks about how Dale's like, you got something you want to say to me, Dale? You want to be the voice of reason? And he doesn't say anything. Shane's like, you should, at least, what have you done to keep this group safe? You've done nothing. At least I'm trying to keep the group safe. You and Rick have done nothing. You had the opportunity to you had a gun pointed to my chest, and you had the opportunity to shoot me, but you didn't. If you thought I was such a threat, you could have just killed me, but you didn't. And then afterwards, he just drives away. Which he has a good point, sort of. Then they start burying the bodies, and Herschel gets on his outfit, and they bury Sophia. Carol doesn't attend because she believes that that's not Sophia. Sophia died a long time ago, and this is just some person that's just dead. And then later on, Carol is in the woods somewhere, and she pulls off a Cherokee rose that Daryl showed her, and she just destroys it. And later on, I think she got poison ivy from it, and Shane thought that it was going to be a walker, so he got out his gun, but I think she got poison ivy or something. So she had, I guess he put medicine on her. And he apologizes for opening the barn. He said that if he knew Sophia was in there, he wouldn't have done it. And apologizes for his loss. I thought at first he was going to say, like, it's all Rick's fault for leaving Sophia there, just kind of throw Rick under the bus. And then Maggie, and this is in the house now, ask if, no, I think afterwards they had gotten the bodies in the truck, and they drove away with it, and they were all arguing, too, throughout the episode, whether Shane did the right thing by opening the barn, and Andrea thinks she's guilty, too, because she shot the gun, too, and T-Dog says it was just his instincts. If he saw walkers in his backyard, he would have killed them, and Dale thinks that we should have dealt with them, but not that way. And then he later on tells Lloyd that he thinks he killed Otis. Well, he knows he killed Otis because he killed Otis and shot him as like a sacrifice, so he could get away and get back here. So pretty much exactly what happened. He just says, and he even says that he admitted it. He doesn't have any proof, but he'll find some. And afterwards, Lloyd gets this weird look on her face because they were talking about how much of a hothead Shane was, and then Dale just thinks he's dangerous. But yeah, Maggie in the house asks Glenn if he'll stay if they leave, and I think Glenn says, we'll think about it. we'll have time to think. And Maggie's like, we don't have a lot of time. And Glenn's like, we have a lot of time. Then everyone, we see Beth's in the kitchen in like the background, and she ends up collapsing. They need Herschel because he's the doctor, but he can't. There's nowhere to be found. He's not in his room. You had earlier in the episode, you saw him pack up his stuff, so you think so I think you knew he was leaving. You just didn't know it yet. And they find a flask where you would fill alcohol with, and he's like, did he used to be a big drinker? And Maggie's like, he stopped when I was born. He didn't even allow alcohol in the house. So they're gonna go look. Rick's gonna go look at the bone, and Glenn offers to go with him. Maggie doesn't want him to go, but Glenn goes. And Lori and Shane don't think it's a good idea to go, considering the fact that they don't even want him there. Lori's like, why you gotta fix everybody else's problems? Carl needs you. He thinks it was a good idea to shoot Sophia. He's growing up in a world that's a mess. Rick says that he isn't doing this just to solve everyone's problem. He's doing it because they need Herschel for when Lori releases the baby. So then Rick and Glenn go off, and Shane, T-Dog, and Andrea deal with these zombies. And they drive off, and when they were driving off, we saw Lori and Glenn were kissing. And then no, not Lori and Glenn. That's a fucking botch. Maggie and Glenn. Rick probably would have beaten the crap out of him if he had kissed Lori. That, and Lori's like 30 and Glenn's like 20. Which isn't, I guess, too far of an age difference, but anyhow, Maggie and Glenn are kissing, and then when they walk off, we see Maggie's like pissed or something, and we find out that Maggie told Glenn that she loves him, which is like a big deal in a relationship, which is a weird relationship, not the weirdest relationship I've seen, he said that he didn't respond because he didn't know how to respond, because no girl other than his mom and his sisters has ever told him that he loved him. And at first she thought that she was just confused and stuff after all that's been going on. And Rick says she's not confused. She's smart enough to know what she's feeling. And Rick says that you should return the favor because you don't get these kind of relationship in this kind of world today. Glenn tells Rick that he bought the pills for Lori, and he apologizes for not telling Rick that he was pregnant, but Rick accepts his apology. He said, you only doing what you thought was right, but it wasn't right. So then they go into the bar, and at first I thought it was just going to be like empty, and then we're going to start like a search for Herschel now, and I kind of glad they didn't do that, because it would have just been like, this is the same stuff we've been seeing. But no, they didn't find him. He was drinking alcohol. His alcoholism's probably going to come back now. Herschel is like looking down on himself after everything. Says that he's been an asshole. That he's taught these girls he's taught his kids not to kill any of these zombies or walkers. And says that you shouldn't have that I should have done that. And he talked about how, but Rick says, you believe in miracles, though. You had all this beliefs when you showed up. And Herschel says, I do believe in miracles, because to be honest with you, when you came over with Carl after he had been shot, I didn't think he was going to make it. And then the miracle came when Shane showed up with the stuff that they needed. And unfortunately, they had lost Otis, but the miracle was that he was survived. But it was all for nothing, kind of, he said, that it ended up being for the walkers. And then he also talks about how his Christian hope, his Christian let him, Rick, and his people come in and use their home, use their farm, give them food and shelter, and you have like took it for granted. You've made me hope for myself. He talked about how he's been a asshole. He finally lost hope when Shane had shot that walker in the chest, and he kept coming. He finally realized that this was just dead nothings, that they're not sick, they're just dead, and he was feeding them rotten corpse. And he says he's been wrong, and I guess he doesn't want to be around them anymore. Maybe just do it. And Rick's like, "What, are you gonna just drink yourself to death?" People have died from heart attacks, cancer, and now this is just a new kind of death. And your kids need you. You need to give them reasons to go on, even if you don't believe it. And there's something else that happens after he says this, but I want to cover this thing now. As Lori gets worried that they haven't seen Rick or Glenn. Rick and Glenn come back with Herschel. So I guess so she has Andrea watch Carl, and she wants Daryl to go out there, and he says, "No, I'm not doing it." And he's like, "You're being a little selfish, aren't you?" No. He says, "Why don't you go out there and look yourself, go window shopping?" And Lori's like, "Aren't you being a little selfish?" And then Daryl just snaps and says, "Selfish? I went out there looking for a girl that was already dead. I took a bullet for her. I got shot in the arrow, and you're talking to me about being selfish." So he just snaps. And then afterwards, Lori herself does go out there, though. She wins like the tiniest gun I think I've ever seen in my life, and a map. And when she's driving, this actually kind of made me laugh, but it was like kind of like a what moment. I think she hit a walker, so then she just drives off the road and the car flips over. I don't remember if it was on fire or not, though. I'm gonna put that. That's the thumbnail of this video. If it was on fire, Lori's probably dead. No, we never find out actually too what happens with this. And then we're gonna get back to the Rick and that whole situation with Herschel. After they had this conversation, two people come in and it says, "Oh, they're not dead. They're still alive." Because I think they thought they were walkers, and I think they just came for a drink. And we find out these people, one of them's name is Dave, and the other one's name is Tony. Tony's like this big fat guy, and Dave's just the normal one. He does more of the talking than any of them. Talked about how they're from Philadelphia, and they've been traveling all around the world. They want to get to like this awesome place. And they keep offering to for Herschel for it, and he's like, "I quit." And then he finally says, "Want a drink?" And she's like, "I thought you quit." So that was weird. And Rick's like, "We're going to go to Fort Bennett." And they told him that it's not as good as you think it is. Everywhere you go, there's always going to be a walker. There's no hope. There's no safe place. And they ask them where they're staying. And Rick tells them they're staying at a farm. And he's like, "Why don't you take us there with you? We can stay there. We'll protect ourselves and everything." And Rick's like, and actually during this too, Tony had taken a piss in the bowl, which was actually pretty funny. I chuckled. And Rick's like, "No, we have enough people there. We don't want to lose any more people. We don't want any protections." But they keep insisting. They want to stay there, and they keep telling them no. So then, eventually Tony pulls out his gun like he's going to shoot them. But Rick pulls out his gun, and Tony's like, and Dave's like, "No, we're not going to kill these people. They were friends. We're just a couple of friends having a drink." And he goes under the table, and I think Rick thought he was going to like pull out a gun or something, but he just pulls out like another alcohol beverage. And I know I said alcohol beverage, but that's what I'm calling it. And he drinks it and says that you should let us stay. And I think Dave was about to shoot Rick, but Rick beats him to the punch and kills both Dave and Tony. And afterwards, it plays this theme song. If you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. It shows just Rick standing tall like a badass, and Shane and T-Dog burning the remains of the walkers, and that was the end of the episode. And I thought it was a pretty good episode. a good episode. It wasn't like an amazing episode or anything, but I think it's a good episode just to watch. I like the way that Daryl was utilized and how he finally snapped. Herschel, he was awesome in this episode. I thought he was pretty good. He's finally starting to doubt himself. And I thought Dave and Tony were going to be like permanent characters, but clearly that's not the case. But yeah, I think I've pretty much finished up what I want to do here. That's pretty much it, guys. I'll be back tomorrow to do a Breaking Bad review, and that's all I really have to say here. That's all I have to say, and peace out.